I'm live. Hey, it is, what is it, July 29th. Good Lord, the whole month of July is almost gone. Unbelievable. I know I say it every night, but it does kind of freak me out with time, just zipping along. All right, so until somebody comes on, I'm almost done with my SP declare. Hey, Nadia. Hi. Well, I guess I won't read it. I'm nearly done with it, but it's it's kind of hi Verity. Thank you for coming on, you guys. It's good to see you. It's welcome to Midnight with Magoo. This is my nighttime channel, which ends up being very fun because there's people that see it in the morning from around the world in different continents. Love it. There you are. Hello. So I decided to tell them the story about Clear. Hey, Janie, I told Lovett my story last night, and she said, "Oh, you got to tell it online." And I said, "It's kind of wild." And I decided, all right, I'll tell you. I think I've told it before in other videos. Hi, Nanya, never in, always against. Sorry, that was me. I was on my other account. Where? What was you? Who was you? Nanya. Oh, I see. I gotcha. Oh, different accounts. Snazzy. Hi, Becca. And hi, 49ers for life. I like that. My dad would love that too. He wasn't a 49ers guy, but he was definitely a football guy who loved sports and loved people who loved sports. Dylan, hey, hi, 3 a.m. Magoo stream. Wow, your favorite. All right, cool. Hi, Sophie. Good evening from New Zealand. Cool. Lots of love. Thank you. Good to see you here. I'm glad you're all here. It's going to be a good night. This is an interesting story, I think. I mean, it's my story, so of course I think it's interesting. Hey, Janie B. It's 8 a.m. here in the UK. All right, so we've got the UK, America, New Zealand. So we got three. That's good. Great to wake up to, Tori. Thank you. The best show at midnight. Thank you, Nanya. I forget. We love our Tori time, don't we, Chad? Thank you. I love you guys too. I'm I'm so glad to be here and interested to hear it. Okay, Australia. All right, we're at 4. Woohoo! I love that. Okay, Connecticut. All right. Hi, Dylan. Interesting. I lived on the East Coast a little bit. I went to college in New Jersey, in Newport, Rhode Island, in actually Rhode Island, and then I lived in New York and Manhattan for a minute. And then we bought our VW bus, found out about the Summer of Love, and said, "We're going." Drove across the country. Let's hit the like buttons. Yeah, and when you come in, make sure to do that because otherwise it's easy to forget. Singapore. All right. Very cool. Hi, Rose. Very cool. My brother is in Hungary right now doing the Azoro Festival. For anyone who wants to Google that, it's a pretty wild scene. It really is. He's done it for a number of years, but with a number of different bands. But they invited him this year, and this is the first time after COVID. So they were all really excited about it. It looked like it's jumping. He sent me all kinds of videos of it and stuff. It's really wild. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. I appreciate that. All right. So tonight I'm going to talk about Scientology and Clear OT, my very odd story. And it really is a very odd story. So I'm going to start with the definition of clear. Sophie, you know we love spending time with Tori. Hi, Janie B. Um, should I start now or wait a little bit? What do you think? You guys are here. We have 30 people here. So the rest of them will miss some of it, but they can always go back and listen to it, right? That's what I think. You know we love spending our time with Tori. Thank you, Janie. Yes, we do. Okay, start. Thank you, Verity. That's what I needed. Start. Okay, today's my birthday. Happy birthday, Dylan. 7/30/85. Wow, so 85. 95, 2005, 2015, 2025. So you're 39? Sounds like it. Good. Congratulations. That's still a baby. Kelly, YouTube fan. Hey, hi, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And congratulations, Dylan. And you know, it's an interesting thing. I will say this about birthdays. A lot of people, as they get closer to their end of whatever decade they're in, like he's in his 30s, right? And sometimes people get really bummed out. They're like, oh my God, I'm almost done with 30. I'm going to be 40. But you have to change that to you're going to, because once you realize, once you get to 40, now you're going to be the baby of that whole group. So there's all kinds of people that are 40, 41, all the way up to 49, and they're at the 49. I'm going to turn 50. So just celebrate it. Just enjoy every day of your life because it doesn't matter. You're going to age whether you like it or not. And I don't believe in faking your age either. I really don't. It's like you are what you are. That's who you are. You should be proud of it. So, okay, so I'm going to start in and tell you. So the definition of clear, the original definition was a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, no somatics, and no pains. Okay, that's when you go clear, you get rid of your reactive mind, which is actually something Hubbard puts in your head that you have a reactive mind. So I never lied about my age. Good, Nanya. So, you know, you he puts it in your head that you have a reactive mind. Now you start trying to handle it with Dianetics, right? Dianetics is sort of like talk therapy. It's really, earlier, similar, earlier. You take an incident and then you just go earlier, similar until finally something, blows. It goes away, and I feel better. I realize, every time my dogs bark, I get pain in my head, and now I realized when I was a little kid, I was bitten by a dog, and that's the source of all of this pain. So now it's gone. Boom. There you go. Okay. Congratulations. Would you like to go to the examiner and attest, and whatever, given a success story. So there's the original definition. Now, having epilepsy, as soon as I read it, I thought, forget it. It's not going to happen for me, because of, I'm not going to, I didn't think I could run out epilepsy. But then I joined the Sea Org and they started tricking me into, oh, yeah, you can with Dianetics. Sure, absolutely. Dianetics, we're going to put you on vitamins, Dianetics, and CalMag. And yeah, we'll get you off your medicine and you'll be fine. And I thought, okay. So I started trying it, having multiple seizures. It was awful. People would find me. I couldn't remember anything. It was really, really scary. And so, should I just wait till you guys all say hello for a little bit? I'll just wait. You guys say hi. Hi, witness. Witness, witness, witness. Happy birthday, Becca. Woo. Becca, it's your birthday also? I must have missed that. I'm telling you. Happy birthday, Becca Jean. Oh, it is. All right. So both of you have birthdays because Dylan has one and Becca. Cool. All right. Anyway, happy birthday to anybody that has a birthday. All right, let's chat. You can go on and I'll start things when you're done. Okay, we're listening to you. All right. Okay. So I'm not going to look at that. Okay, so I have epilepsy. So, at first I'm in my early 20s and I think, okay, it'll work. That's what he said. That's what everybody said. Oh, sure, Dianetics will fix it. No problem. So I'm like, okay. Then I start having these seizures and more seizures and more seizures. And I start losing my short-term memory. I've told you guys this. And my mother's like, either you're on your medication today and your doctor calls me today and says you're on your medication, or we're going to personally fly out there. I'm going to fly out there, your mother. And L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology will never forget your mother. And I knew my mom. She could kick serious ass. And so how did they convince you to stop taking your medicine? It was just for like a very short time. The kid said, you're part of the Sea Org and we're the top 10% of the planet. We don't take medicine. So we're going to put you on this whole program that'll safely get you off your medicine. I was like, okay, that sounds right. It just wasn't, it wasn't smart, but you're already in the Truman Show of believing stuff that it isn't exactly what everybody else is thinking about. So I went along with it, started having the seizures. My mother said what she said. I go back on my medicine, and now I'm moving up the bridge, on my medication. So I get to a certain point, and I haven't really gone clear, right? And this lady, Debbie Mace, says, no, it wasn't Debbie Mace. It was somebody else said, um, Arthur Hubbard wants to talk to you. He wants to have lunch with you. And Arthur Hubbard is one of L. Ron Hubbard's sons. And I thought, really? I thought, okay. Because you're meeting all kinds of people. I mean, back in the 60s, early 70s, I was meeting all kinds of different people, and musicians and artists, and, famous people, not famous people. I helped train John Travolta. He got Welcome Back Kotter through while we were working together. So, he said he'll never forget me and Vicky because we helped supervise it. But anyway, I was kind of used to that kind of thing. So I forgot where I was. Let's see, there's my short-term memory. Somebody has to remember what I'm talking about. That's right. Late night at night with Tori. It's 1:20 a.m. So morning with Tori then? That's right, it's morning. All right, so I'm telling you about me getting off my medicine. Oh, yeah. They said you have lunch with Arthur Hubbard. So I think, okay. So I'm sitting with Arthur Hubbard, who's L. Ron Hubbard's son. And he says, well, what's your story? What's up? And I said, well, it's kind of an unusual story. I was in college and I read about, I wanted to be a doctor, but I thought, I really don't have the patience to do all the medical school, grad school, internships. I just didn't think so. And so these kids from high school brought me a Dianetics book. And I thought, well, I could do that. And it sounded like it was about 6 months. And then you're an auditor, a counselor, and then you could help people get clear, which is all I wanted to do was help people anyway. So I thought, well, that would work. Yeah, lunch with Arthur. Good. So I thought that would work. So I basically decided I looked on the back of the book and it said St. Hill, England, and I knew I didn't have enough money to get there, or American St. Hill in Los Angeles. I was in Chicago, which is the middle of this country, and LA is all the way on the West Coast. So I basically, my dad calls me, and I'm in college, and he calls me up, and I've always been a night owl. My grandfather was a doctor, and I would always say, wake me up if you have any kind of night calls, because he had one of those little black bags, and he'd go house to house, and people would call him up, we need you to come over, and he'd say, okay, and I'd say, wake me up, though, if it's at night. So he'd wake me up, and we'd go, and so I love that kind of thing. I've always been a night owl. So now my dad calls and says, look, it's 10:30. It's time for you to go to bed. And I said, Dad, I'm in college. Come on, give me a break. They'd been running this stuff on me for years. I had to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. Turn out your lights, all this other stuff. And I said, no, I'm in college. I don't have to go to bed at 10:30. And he said, look, it's our morals or no school. Now remember, I didn't really want to go to school at this point. I was sort of like, I don't want to do this anyway. Oh, you got me? Wow, cool. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, that was cool. Jessica walked me through that. Thank you guys for waiting. I appreciate it. Oy vey. So anyway, I'm going to try to get back to the story. Thank you very much for waiting. I appreciate it. I'm back. That's right. Okay, so I'm talking about clear, my own personal weird story about clear, and I told it to Jessica last night. I mean, love it, Frank. And she said, "Hi, City of Angels," and she said, "Yeah, tell you guys," even though it's very weird. So anyway, you have to get. I have epilepsy, so for me, it wasn't very real that I could go clear. So now I go out to lunch with Arthur Hubbard. And he asked me my story, what's up? And I said, I was in college. My dad said, it's our morals or no school. I write on my mirror, your morals or no school, screw you. And I never said stuff like that to my dad. So it was like really weird. I packed my bags and I hitchhiked from Chicago to the front of Asho, American St. Hill on Temple Street in 1969 by myself, all by myself. So there I am. I'm there. And he goes, really? After reading 3 chapters of Dianetics? And I said, yeah, that's a fact. And he goes, wow. And I said, so I probably won't go clear though, because I have epilepsy. And I explained that whole thing. And he goes, no. And I had never heard this term. Like now the term, everybody's heard it, they've used it. It's way, way used, overused. But at the time I had never heard it ever, not once. And he goes like this, he leans back and he goes, you know what? You're a last lifetime clear. And I go, a last lifetime clear? What is that? Right? And I have no idea. I mean, clear already is sort of a weird thing. And then last lifetime clear, it's like, what the hell is that? I mean, Dianetics came out in 1950, and I say that to him. And I was born in 1947. And he goes, exactly. And that's when my dad was doing research on Dianetics and clear. So something happened and you died and that's it. And you came back. And it all just went like click, 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 like dominoes all falling. It just all came together. And I went, oh my God, I know what happened. When you go clear, sometimes you can go exterior, which means your spirit goes out of your body per Scientology. And now you're outside of your body looking down, you can see everything. And I was exterior, but LRH didn't know how to get me back, right? And that's the perception I have. So I'm like, oh God, you're right. And so he goes, so there you go. So I went in and attested to clear. And see, you have to realize I didn't ever really think it was real anyway. I just really didn't. It was just sort of one of those things I went along with. And if somebody said they're clear, it's like, okay, great. To this day, people go, well, I'm clear. And I'm like, okay, great. It's like, come on. You have a perfect memory, perfect IQ, no somatics, no pains, please. I have never met anybody that's really clear. And now a lot of people kind of agree with me. But anyway, back then they didn't. They were all definitely clear. And Google Jason Begay and clear and Scientology clear. And I'm telling you, he nails it. He really nails it. And I was there with Bunker when he filmed it. It was really great. So now let's roll forward. I do OT3. I explained that to you about how I nearly died 5 minutes more and I would have been dead after OT3 because I got off my medicine again and again had multiple grand mal seizures. And thank God I didn't call Scientology. I mean, imagine having multiple grand mal seizures. So you're just like whacked out. And I was able to think, don't call Scientology because they will drive you forever to get you to a Scientology doctor, right? So called my friend Jerry Hall, who I knew was on the fence and ready to leave Scientology. And I just called him and said, Jerry, get over here now. And he came over right away, took me right to Morton Plant Hospital. Those came back too with all these, things on my head. And they said 5 more minutes and you would have been dead. And that's it. So that was the last time I tried to get off my medicine, period. It was like, I'm not doing that again. So I haven't had a seizure in 30 years, for a long, long time. Okay, so now roll forward there in Scientology. I'm still in, and I get on OT7. I know, I can't believe I survived it either, witness. So now I get on OT7 and I'm doing it, and I'm not having any wins on it. It's the whole thing. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, this has to do with clear. So I see these people running down the hall and they're like screaming and crying. And I'm like, I say to my auditor, what the hell's going on here? You know, these people are all like really jacked up. And he said, yeah, I know. We're going through some difficult times. And I said, well, let me ask you something. Did you get an order from Miscavige to take all of us and go back to our beginning levels and check every one of our end phenomena, which is the EP, the thing that you're supposed to get when you finish it, and see if they really got them or not? And he goes, you got it. So I knew that's what they were doing. And I knew I wasn't really clear, right? I knew that. I mean, it just was like, okay, I'm last lifetime clear, but it was sort of like, okay, maybe. You know, it was a big maybe. I was just kind of going along with the thing because maybe somewhere it would work and that'd be it. Okay. She's got that starred Perth, so I'll answer that when I answer the questions. I'll answer the questions at the end. So, I forgot where I was. Where was I? I was telling you about you. They were running down the hall. He said, yeah, we're checking everybody. So now, all of a sudden, this lady shows up. She's class 12, which is like really high up on the triangle of training. And she's like, Tori, I need to take you in session. And I said, okay. So we go in session. She goes, pick up the cans. And I pick up the cans. And she says, okay. First of all, I'd like to indicate that when you thought you were going, you went clear. You didn't. That's false. And I said, okay. And I'm kind of holding my hands thinking, I don't really give a shit anyway, lady, but you can tell me whatever you want. And she goes, you didn't go clear then. And she's like real snotty, like this is really going to fuck you up. And I'm like, not me. It's not, babe. You can fuck out. I see these other people running down the hall crying, but you're not going to see me running down the hall crying because I know this shit doesn't work because of my epilepsy. Excuse me. So she goes, well, when did you go clear? So I start thinking, I go, well, maybe it was then. You know, so I give her something and she goes, she looks at the meter and she goes, no, that's not it. I go, well, maybe it was then. Nope, it's not that. And people have asked me forever, like, what is reverse auditing, right? And you never hear of it when you're in the church. No one ever explains reverse auditing. And it doesn't really happen a lot. But this was reverse auditing. See, where auditing is supposed to make you better, this made you worse, right? And she just kept saying, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. End of session. She got up and walked out. And I think some of these people were running down the hall screaming because now someone had invalidated their state of clear and they're on OT7, which would normally really screw you up if you really believed all this stuff. But I didn't. So I was just sort of like, okay, whatever. You know, it's like another thing on my little totem pole of fucked again, fucked again, fucked again. I had my little totem pole like, happened again. Here you go. You tried to throw me off the base. Another time tried to throw me off the ship. Threw me out of the Sea Org. You know, it's just like, and they wonder why I'm a critic. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? I mean, if you really understand my story, it's like, it's amazing I stayed in for 30 years. But I mainly did because of my husband and son and my friends. That was it, really. Hi, Fluffer Squirrel from UK. So anyway, that's my lunch story with Arthur Hubbard and my weird, clear OT story. It's very odd. It's very odd. And I finally, my last CIS, a CIS is a case supervisor. You know, it's what they tell you to do in session. And my very last one, what does it say? Tori, you can move to the start so you don't get distracted. Okay, I will. But the very last one is see if you can, for me, it was see if you can walk down the street and not think about your case. It's like, don't think about an elephant. And Hubbard had on OT7 this thing where if you can't get rid of BTs or clusters, which are these spirits, you know, spirits or groups of spirits, you can do what's called the scissor tech, which is just in the in the theta universe, or like the spiritual universe, you're just cutting the lines to these BTs and clusters. So I'm out in the street trying to not think about my case. And I think, which is just thinking, right? And I think, and I get to the first driveway and I think, there you go. I go to the second driveway and I just stood out in the street and I went, that's it. I am done with auditing, not just for this lifetime, but for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So you guys get the hell out of here. I don't care where you go. I recommend the Virgin Islands or somewhere pretty. But go wherever you want. Find somebody else because it's not going to be me. Tinker Mom, hi. I have your thing for the last goodies that you gave me. I've been meaning to bring it to you, but you're lucky you hung around as long as you did. I'm so glad that you made a wonderful life outside of Scientology for yourself and your son. Me too. Me too. It's and all of you. I'm just so blessed that I have all of you as part of my little midnight with Magoo. It's wonderful. So anyway, that's it. So now I'll do the starred questions. And I never saw Arthur Harper again. He's not really a Scientologist. He's an artist. So it was kind of unusual that he had me come out to lunch, but it worked. Hey, it's Magoo. Love you. Rock on. Roar. All right. All right. This is from Nanya. Never in, always against. This also was over 40 years ago, right? Yeah, probably. You're right. I did OT3 in 79. I guess Clear was before I got married in 74. I'm bad at math. How many years is that? I love that Tori's mom was tough as she was. Me too. She was a really fun person, but boy, she could kick ass if she needed to. Hi, Perth. Hey. You remind me of the girl in Paper Moon. Super feisty. True. Very true. I love Jason Begay. Me too. It's Beghe, I think. It's not, I think. But look it up. I love the story of the first demonstration of a clear who failed every test spectacularly. Yeah. It was down at the shrine, if I remember right, and Hubbard turned around and said, "What's the color of my tie?" And the guy couldn't remember. And that was supposed to be the first clear. Jason Begay interview mentioned. Okay. Yeah, he mentioned me because I was there with them. Tori's honesty is everything. Thank you, Verity. I really feel like that is true for all of us. That happened to me years ago. My dad was a celebrity. For anybody who hasn't heard this, he was a celebrity in the football field. He played for the Chicago Cardinals. There he is. That's Magoo. That's the original Magoo. And I called him Magoo because he had little eyes like me. And he was funny. And he was on TV then later as a broadcaster. So one of his friends was a really, really big celebrity. And we would go to dinner at night. And they would talk about this guy getting, I think is it embezzled? What is it where they ask for money? What's the name of that? Where it's not embezzled. It's, what's the word for it? When they're saying they're demanding money from you, or they will do X, Y, and Z. What is it? Someone has to tell me. Let's see. I'm going to look down here. Okay, nobody's saying it. Well, anyway, it's when they do that. Somebody blackmail. That's right. Thank you, love it. So this guy's getting blackmailed, and every night we're coming to dinner and we're hearing, this story and that story, and they're about ready to tell this big secret that the guy has, and I'm just thinking, this is a fucking nightmare. I mean, I think I was 13 at the time, and I just thought, you know what? That's it. For the rest of my life, I'm going to tell people who I am and what I am. If they don't like it, you can find another friend. Because the truth and being honest about yourself, to me, I never wanted to be in that position where somebody could blackmail me, ever. It was just like, and everyone in Scientology knows all my dark secrets. I mean, even stuff I haven't even told you guys yet. They know. And OSA knows that they know. So that's why on my SP declare, they had to make up all this bullshit because all my real stuff, everybody knows. And they can't say that because that's from my PC folders. And that's really a bad thing for them to do. So they had to make up all this stuff. Extortion. Yeah, that's the other thing. Blackmail and extortion. So anyway, I decided at a young age, I was just going to be honest and tell people who I am and what I am and take it or leave it. You know, if you don't like it, that's okay. You know, there's plenty of other people who are like, you don't have to like me. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate that, Verity, because it really means a lot to me. It does. Okay, so this is from Perth. Hey, Tori, love from Australia. Question, do you think going exterior is due to power of suggestion, or what made you see that? What made me see that? Well, remember, I'm at lunch with Arthur Hubbard. So I'm not going exterior then. The only time I went exterior was when I nearly died in a hospital after having a hip operation, and they put me on morphine, and I think it conflicted with my medicine for epilepsy, and I was going, and Dylan Gill is my witness because he was flying in to help me, and I was leaving my body, and the physical therapist was going, wiggle your toes, wiggle your toes. You're doing really well. Squeeze my hands. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your toes. And or I was wiggling my toes, and then I said, look, I'm leaving the room. I mean, I could feel it. I was just like, I'm going. I was gonna die. It was really scary. And I said, give me your hand. And I held her hand, and I could hear the emergency people coming running down the street. This was just like a few years ago. And the emergency people are running down the hall. And she goes, you're really doing well, Tori. Just keep wiggling your toes. And I looked at her and I said, how can I be doing really well when the emergency people are showing up here? And she said, well, you've still got your sense of humor, so that's a good thing. So anyway, Dylan shows up. I tell him the whole story. And at the end, he goes, oh, thank God. And I go, what? And he goes, when I walked in here, you were white as a sheet. And then as I told him the story, the color came back. But it was scary. It was really scary. But now I forgot what I was answering. Okay, so going exterior. That was the only time ever in my life that I felt like I really went exterior. But remember, this was a story to Arthur Hubbard while we're having lunch. And I'm remembering, oh, that's what happened. I must have gone exterior. And it just seemed like it made sense. You know, it's like you go clear, you go exterior. But LRH was still doing research, so he hadn't quite figured out how to handle someone being exterior, which I don't know how many people really do, or if they do at all. I think it's probably power of suggestion. Okay, I must have been mistaken. I thought you meant you went exterior during auditing. No, Arthur Hubbard said you're a last lifetime clear. And that's where it came up. And I thought, how can I be a last lifetime clear? Clear came out in 1950, and I was born in 1947. And he said, exactly. And that's when LRH was doing research on clear. So he was working with you, and you probably went, I think I thought of it. I went, oh, and I went exterior. And I just got this whole picture of I'm floating outside my body. And then LRH didn't know how to get me back. And I was just sort of like, there you go. Totally corny. You know, it's not real, but that's what it was. That's why I'm saying it. This is my very weird, clear OT, very odd story. Okay, hello, Tori. You are beautiful. Thank you, Shirley and Christopher. I appreciate that. All right, this is Love It. Question. Why was that lady so comfy to go against Arthur Hubbard's declaration of you being clear? Well, first of all, it was years later. Arthur wasn't anywhere around. Do you know what I mean? And it was what it was. I mean, it was years and years later. And they were probably like, you know, she got an order to go in there and tell her that wasn't when she went clear. I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why. Why would they do that? You know, it just seemed very weird to me. And it still seems weird to me, even though the whole thing seems weird. But that seems really weird that, like you say, why would they do that? I don't know. It's a good question. Charles Patrick, question. Can you explain what you paid CFS for but didn't receive and how much they still owe you? Okay, first of all, let's get a couple of things straight. L. Ron Hubbard said, if they don't like it, get rid of them and give them their money back and get rid of them. So overall in Scientology, my money they have is $1 million. How much money they had on account that where explain what you paid to CFS but didn't receive was money on account. And I got that money back. I did. I got it back. It was just for the briefing course, which I paid for, and OTA. And those two things I got the money for. And I got my IAS money back too. Way back in 2000 when they were giving money back. And Greg Barnes sent in a letter and got his check. And I said, how'd you do that? And he said, I just wrote him and said, you didn't deliver what you promised. Give me my money back. And they sent him a check. So I said, all right, give me the letter. And I wrote one myself and got a check myself. So for that I did. But I know other people that have lots of money on account and they won't give it back. Of course, Anonymous is still around. How could you even ask such a thing? Mr. Anonymous still around. Here he is. This is my friend from way early on. Andreas asked me to come to Norway. I flew to Norway and he got me Mr. Anonymous. And he became very popular, I think around the Anonymous time, actually. He became very popular then. And I brought him out all the time on YouTube. And that's Mr. Anonymous. So thank you for asking about him. Thank you, Shirley Ann. All right, now this is Spartacus I Am. Love it. Miscavige gave orders that anyone who was past life clear was no longer clear and had to redo it. Ah, there you go. See, there's always somebody who knows something that you don't know. That's why I'm saying it's amazing how, I had those parties for 14 years and people would come in. And to this day, every time we get together, we're still always comparing notes. I mean, this is a new thing that Spartacus I Am just said that I didn't know that. I've never heard that. So it makes sense that he would do it. Spartacus I Am. I'd love to see the ad L income the cult got from all that redoing. Yeah. They have a lot of ripoffs. I mean, let's face it. This is from Spartacus I Am. I have family members that have had to redo much of their auditing training and even some OT levels. It's disgraceful. Wow. And they're okay with that? It's amazing. I know. My ex-husband is still in there. Hello, Tori. Hi, Larry L. Thank you for coming by. Thank you all for coming by. Make sure to hit the like button if you haven't. DF Lawless. Just wanted to say hello real quick. Very quickly. Now get out. I'm just kidding. Okay. Thank you. They changed the rules on a whim, but just because they can. Exactly. That's the tricky part of it. And nobody can talk about it, so you don't really know. You know what I mean? Tori Magoo 44. Do Scientologists discuss going exterior, having out-of-body experiences? Yeah, I've heard many of them talk about it. I mean, they talk about all kinds of stuff, like who they were last lifetime. Not now. I think David Miscavige said they can't do that anymore, but they did for a long time. They did. I told you I met 2 Julius Caesars and Denny's in one day. Okay, Sophie, question. How do people describe the feeling of going exterior? It's just like a lightness, you're out of your body. Different people have different perceptions, but, often they're way high up and they can look down and see and hear everything, stuff like that. Hi, Ish. Thanks for coming by. Good to see you. We appreciate you, Magoo. Thank you. I appreciate you. We've been through some wild times together. He I was the first person who heard Louis Farrakhan say, "You're all going to be on course Tuesday night, or we're going to thank you and say goodbye." And so I fired up my camera and made a message to the African American community saying, Scientology doesn't give a shit about you. They want bodies in the shop, money, and connections. And that's true for anybody. It doesn't matter. But they pretend like they're for someone. And not so now they were for the Black community, right? And so Ish was really great because he knows the Nation of Islam group, but we got to share stories and stuff like that. It was really, really great. I still don't get, he's OT3 now, right, Ish? I mean, I can't even fathom that because that's really, Hubbard was against religion, churches, Jesus. I forget what all the Nation of Islam is for and against, but it seems like some of it might borderline, push him in a way that's very odd. It's very odd that they're together. But thank you. It's good to see you. All right, best deals. 70 people watching, only 31 likes. Hit the like button. All right, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. All right, David Miscavige playing head games for his own satisfaction. Exactly. Always over and over and over doing the same thing. It's kind of amazing. It really is. How long has the Nation of Islam been involved with Scientology? Ish would have to tell me that. Do you know that? I don't really know the date of it. You're welcome, beautiful. Thank you. Did he leave? Yes, we agree. Nation of Islam and Scientology don't seem to have a lot of overlap, but IDK. There you go with those little things that I don't know what you're talking about. IDK, whatever that is. Somebody knows. You know, witness. So what is IDK? Anyway, Ish, if you're still hearing, do you know what year Nation of Islam? It was in the 2000s. I think 2000, let's see, it was after Anonymous. So I think it was like 2010, around then. Yeah, I don't think he's ex. I think he's part, like there's Nation of Islam with Scientology, and then there's Nation of Islam. I don't know. Okay, good. Thank you, Tinker Mom. I appreciate that. Sorry, Tori. Bad habit. IDK. I don't know. Thank you, witness. Okay. No, I know you guys. You young spring chickens know all these little. I remember when Bunker and I went to London. Anonymous flew us over there. Wait, here it is. Louis Farrakhan was planning a relationship since 1976. Are you serious? Wow. And you got to call me up and tell me about that, Ish, because that's something. Or maybe I'm almost ready where I think I can interview someone, and then maybe I can interview you. That would be really fun. 1976. Wow. That's unbelievable. I had no idea. Because when did he do the thing where, everyone had to be on course by Tuesday night, or we're going to thank you and say goodbye? 2008. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's what I remember. It was around the Anonymous time. And thank God Ish was around. Okay, so thank you very much. And I want to do an interview with you, Ish. I do. I'm just learning how to do the split screen thing. And so as soon as I get that down, I want to do an interview with you. That'd be really fun. Because we have a couple of stories that we can share. Sorry, Tori. That's okay. No problem. But the thing I was going to say, though, is Bunker and I went to London with Anonymous, and this was in 2002 or 3. No, Anonymous came in 2008, so it must have been 2008. But they had all these, acronyms, and they were using all this lingo and words. And I'd look at Bunker, and also they had these really strong Cockney accents. And so we'd be in a bar after picketing, and I'd look at Bunker like, what are they talking about? And he'd look at me and he'd go, I have no idea. It was very funny. Okay, now let's see. Okay, good. So he started merging in 2008. All right. Well, we'll definitely have to do an interview-ish when I get this thing down, which is pretty soon. You'd think that auditors would start to get internally suspicious after hearing so many PCs claim that they were Caesar or Marie Antoinette. The past life thing is so flawed, but they believed it. But remember, you can't talk about it. You can say that back then you could. Now you can't even say anything. But you can't talk to each other really about it. You could never invalidate someone's case game. So if they say there's something, you can't say, "Come on, I just met another Julius Caesar." You can't do that. Also, Ishmael, did you say in your video that the FBI have agreements with CFS? I think he just wrote that, saying that they were coordinating from 1978. So in your video that the FBI have agreements with CFS? Really? Wow. I'll have to hear about that, Ish. Good stuff. Second watch. Stories I never knew about you. 7 DFAB. DFAB. Okay, John B. You didn't know that? Can I tell him who you are? This person's a very important person in my life. He's the person who got me in Scientology. He's the guy who gave me the Dianetics book. This guy right here, John B. It's a fact. It's a fact, Jack. Question. The state of clear sounds similar to going exterior. How do they explain that a clear doesn't have a perfect IQ? I have no idea. I always thought, like I said, it just seemed so bogus. I mean, I never knew anybody that seemed like they had a perfect IQ. So, how do they explain it? Ish has the YouTube channel. Ish has a YouTube channel and did a very interesting interview explaining the history. Okay, great. And is is it what is his history? What is his? It's a YouTube channel. What is his channel? Is it Ishmael Bey? Does little Davy have children? No. Sophie, comment. I always find it interesting that people were always a famous figure in a past life. No one's ever a cleaner or a nurse. No, I was. Because Hubbard mentions that it's really odd that a lot of people think there's some famous person. He said, when really they're the guy that shined the guy's shoes, or something like that. So I was more like that. There is no one that I ever came up with where I thought, that's who I am. I was like, no. Never received a dime back from CFS. Well, you have to do some work on it. Nobody's going to walk over and give you a dime. Not going to happen. But if you get on it, and they owe you money, you gotta do something about it. It's like anything. Sophie, links where you can support Tori. Okay, thank you. There you go. That's my link tree. I like that. It's kind of a cool little thing. All right, nice to meet you, John V. But I'm happy he's out too. Nice to meet you, John V. I'm happy Tori's not in Scientology. Me too. But like I said, I don't regret it because I wouldn't have never had my husband and my son and some wonderful friends that unfortunately are not really friends. Like Andrea said, what kind of friends could those be if they're going to leave you because you change your mind? So, but they seemed like they were friends for a long time. Okay, thank you, Love It, for texting me that. I appreciate that because I want to stay in touch with them and I want to watch that channel. All right, kids. Well, that's it. That's pretty much it. If you haven't hit the like button, please do before I end. And if anybody has anything else to say, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for being part of it. Tinker Mom, question. No, there aren't dumb questions with me. Never, never, never. So maybe this is dumb, but if you aren't allowed to communicate with someone after they leave and are declared, how do people get divorced when the one left and one is still in. Well, just like Harold and I, we did the divorce, but that was it. And it was like talking to someone, it was like talking to a piece of paper. It was like he was gone. It was frightening for me. I was like, what happened? I remember seeing it happen with Heber, and Heber was on TV, and I forget whose channel it was, but it was like he got backed into a corner, and he turned white, and then he just started, like, let's say this is the Dianetics book. He just started going like this. Oh wait, he just started holding it up and down and up and down and up and down. That was it. And I thought, God, he looks so weird. It really was spooky. And you're welcome, Tinker Mom. Thank you. And I hope we get to see you soon. Um, it was hard. And it was really hard to see my husband like that. It was like, what did they do to him? I thought I was just going to go and make sure Stacy and Bob and Jesse were cool and really out. And then I'd come back and get Harold because he wasn't really a true believer anyway, even though he was OT8. But his mother had paid for his whole bridge all the way up. So I thought, okay, cinch, I'll go there, make sure that they're not OSA because I wasn't really sure. Maybe they're just pretending they're OSA. And they absolutely were out, 100%. But when I came back to get Harold, boy, they had gotten to him. It was awful. It was just awful. We did the divorce. That was it. He was going to kick me out. I've told this story before, but he was going to kick me out of this house, and it was everything in it that was mine was gone. Everything, and he was painting it. He was putting on base paint on it when I walked in. And I said, "What the hell's going on?" And he goes, "Nothing. I'm painting the house. You're getting out of here. So get your stuff." And so I went to this party that night, which wasn't how he was. He was normally never like that. So it was really like, wow, what happened? Where'd Harold go? And so I went to this party with Richard Fivas, and his girlfriend was there. And she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I don't know. I just got out of a cult." And she said, "Well, where do you live?" And I said, "I don't know that either. My husband's about ready to throw me out." And she asked, "Where do you work?" And I said, "I don't know. I got to get a job." And she said, "Look, that's it. No, you are going to go home and kick your husband out. I never met this woman before in my life, and I never saw her again. But I will always thank her because she saved my life. She really did. She was another person who really helped me." And she said, "No, your credit is all probably in your husband's name," which it was. And she said, "No one's going to rent you a room because you don't have any credit. And no one's, you're going to be out on the street. You're not going to be able to get a job. You go home and kick your husband out. Tell him you're getting out of here, pal." And I did. I went home and I said, "You know what? No, I'm not leaving. You're leaving." And he packed up and left. It was really weird. It was like, yeah, so many things when I left, it was just like miracle things happened, right? Wow, that's ruthless how Harold did it. Well, I mean, I'm probably making it sound worse than it was. It wasn't like just get out, but it was kind of like get out. It was just like, you're moving out, I'm staying, and that's how it was. And it was pretty creepy. But again, he thinks I'm a suppressive person, and he really believes whatever they told him. He believes it. So it's tragic. It is, but it happens all the time. Okay, now what is this? I had a past life reading, and the psychic told me I was Joan of Arc. Yeah, truly. I know. I know. There's different people that are. Have a great night, Tori. Thanks for the time as always. You are welcome, Spark, because I am, and thank you for telling me that about the clear thing. Who knew? I'll never forget that. That's really enlightening. Okay, Harold seemed like a sweet, fun guy in the bunker videos. He is. That's what I'm saying. He's not a ruthless guy. It just was like they scared him to death about me, and he was always afraid of SPs anyway, so he got really scared. Reminded me a little of Jim Carrey. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through so much heartache, Tori. Yeah, it was hard. I cried for 2 years on and off. It was really rough for me, but I got through it. It's one of those. I set up my little meltdown committee, And it was like 4 people that knew what I was going through, and I could call them anytime, and they'd help me. And boy, they did. They really did. So, all right. I love this lady that said that to you, Tori. Me too. I have a love. The other one where that, Stacy's cleaning lady, said, "Do you want some advice?" And the next day after I'd left Scientology, and I said, "Yeah, anything." And remember, Scientology was really big on up. PTS is up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's really bad because then you're connected to an SP. And she said, "I just want you to understand with the amount of shit you've gone through in the last 24 hours, you are going to be going up and down and up and down and up and down for maybe a long time. But I want you to never forget that it's circular. So as you're going up and down, it's within this circular movement of going up." And that's exactly what has happened. And it's so great. And that is such a great lesson, isn't it? And that was the cleaning lady at Stacy's house. She wasn't even an ex-Scientologist, but she gave me that. I got tons of, because I opened my heart and said, I left a cult, whatever you could help me with, help me. And a lot of people had a lot of good advice. It's really good. Okay, now this is from Sophie. Tori, my dad did that to me at 14. I came home, my whole room was clean. Oh, boxes in my future gone, my furniture gone. Wow, what happened? You got to tell me that another time. Wow, that's a story. Thanks for coming by, everyone. Lots of love. Thank you. Sophie, we'll have to talk about that. Thank you, Tori, and thank you, chat. Tori's chat is always the best people who are here for the message. I know we have a really group. It's a great family. I love it. And I love you, Sophie, and I love you, love it. Thank you for helping keep everything going. It really, really helps. An open heart and an open mind are the 2 best things you can have, and honesty. Just be honest. Even if you're, weird. I tell people all the time, I'm weird. That's the way I am. If you start out being weird, then it's easier to be okay. Do you see what I mean? If you think you're perfect, then it's like, well, you're not exactly perfect. You start looking at, well, this is wrong and that's wrong. So I go the other way. But nah, I'm not. But so is most people. We all love it, appreciate you. Thank you, love it. I love you guys. Okay, good. You have to tell me about another time for sure. And Fluffer Squirrel UK, thank you for coming by. So this was like 4 or 5 continents. Woo! Good job, everybody. All right. I love you guys. And what are we at now? This will be Tuesday, right? Let's see. Do I know what day it is? Tuesday the 30th. Ooh. Yikes. We're almost into August. 30 days says September, April, June, and November. All the rest of 31. So we have one more day, and then it's August. That's okay. We'll get to it. Good night, Tori and chat mods. Thank you, Tinker Mom, for coming by. Come by more often. All of you. I love you guys. To hell with it. Just be yourself. Be honest already. There you go. Here you go. Exactly. It's like if you just do yourself, first of all, you're comfortable. I think we were laughing about it the other night, how it must be difficult for people that, have these big lying stories to keep them all on track. Like, what was I saying? And who did I say I was? That kind of stuff. All right. Anyway, good night, you guys. I love you. And to the guys for tomorrow, if you see this, please leave a comment. I love it when you guys say something. So do also. You're very important. Every voice counts. Remember that. All right. Adios. When's the next one? I'm going to be protesting tomorrow night. So that'll be the next one live. I mean, it won't be midnight, but I'll be out at the complex. So that's the next one. All right.